Muscle loss in aging isn't something that hits all at once. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, in your 40s or 50s. It respect maybe a little less power when you climb stairs or lift something heavy. But by the time you're in your 60s and certainly into your 70s, this slow decline picks up speed. This condition has a name, sarcopenia, and it affects nearly everyone as they age. The consequences are more serious than just looking thinner or feeling weaker. Muscle isn't just about strength. It's critical for metabolic health, immune function, insulin sensitivity, even your brain health. When we lose muscle, we lose resilience. We lose our ability to recover from illness, from injury, and even from emotional stress. The statistics are sobering. By age 75, the average person has lost between 30% to 50% of their muscle mass compared to their peak in young adulthood. That's not just a number, that's the difference between independence and needing assistance, between catching yourself during a stumble or falling and breaking a hip. This is what we're up against, and here's the really important part. This isn't just due to inactivity. It's biological. As we age, the body's ability to synthesize protein from food decreases. It's called anabolic resistance. Even if you eat the same amount of protein you did in your 30s, your body uses it less effectively to build and repair muscle. That's why seniors can eat what seems like a balanced diet and still waste away, gradually losing lean tissue year by year. Then there's hormonal decline. Testosterone, growth hormone, IGF, when all of these drop off significantly with age. And these hormones aren't just about youthfulness or energy. They are deeply involved in maintaining and building muscle. As their levels decline, muscle protein turnover slows. Recovery takes longer. The body becomes more catabolic, more likely to break down tissue than build it. But here's something a lot of people miss. Inflammation plays a major role. Chronic low-grade inflammation, what we sometimes call inflammaging, accelerates muscle loss. It interferes with protein synthesis. It disrupts mitochondrial function. It makes muscle tissue more vulnerable to damage and less responsive to repair signals. This is one of the reasons why seniors who consume inflammatory foods or who have undiagnosed inflammation from gut issues or poor sleep seem to age faster on every level, including muscle integrity. What makes this worse is that most modern diets don't support the specific needs of aging muscles. Ultra-processed foods are everywhere, high in sugar and omega-6 oils, low in micronutrients and quality protein. And when people do try to improve their diet, they often focus only on calories or weight loss when the priority should actually be preserving and rebuilding lean mass. And this matters for more than just mobility. Muscle is an endocrine organ. It releases myokines, powerful signaling molecules that affect the brain, the immune system, even fat metabolism. When you move and contract muscle tissue, your body sends out anti-inflammatory and regenerative signals. That's why people who stay strong as they age tend to live longer, feel better, and resist chronic disease more effectively. They're not just preserving strength, they're preserving vitality. So when we talk about muscle loss in seniors, we're not talking about something cosmetic or superficial. We're talking about a physiological shift that touches almost every system in the body. It's slow, it's silent, and it's happening to millions of people who don't even realize it, until the day they can't get out of a chair easily, or they trip and can't catch themselves, or they begin to lose their independence, and here's the turning point. This process can be slowed, stopped, and even reversed. But it requires intention. It requires shifting away from the idea that aging inevitably means decline. And it begins with changing how we nourish the body, how we support muscle with the right type of food at the right time, combined with consistent movement. Because once you understand what causes muscle loss, you also understand how to fight it and win. Now that we understand how muscle loss happens with age, especially in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the next question is, what can we do about it? What's something practical, something powerful, that can be added to a daily routine that actually works with the body's biology to reverse this decline? The answer, surprisingly, isn't found in some exotic supplement or expensive therapy. It's a humble, often overlooked food that most people walk right past in the grocery store: lentils. Lentils might not look like much, small, earthy legumes, brown, green, red, or black. But inside each lentil is a powerful nutritional profile that, when used correctly, can help the aging body do what it struggles to do on its own: build and preserve muscle. They're one of the most underrated muscle-building foods for seniors, and not just because they contain protein, though they do, and plenty of it. It's what's inside that protein that matters: amino acids, particularly leucine. Leucine is a branch-chain amino acid, and it's like a key that unlocks the muscle-building machinery in your body. It triggers a signal called mTOR, which tells your muscle cells it's time to grow. As we age, we need more leucine to get the same muscle response we had when we were younger. That's because of anabolic resistance. The body doesn't respond to protein signals as easily. Lentils, despite being plant-based, are surprisingly rich in leucine and other essential amino acids, especially when eaten in the right combinations. When paired with whole grains like rice or quinoa, they form a complete protein, meaning all 9 essential amino acids are present and bioavailable. Beyond protein, lentils are packed with nutrients that aging muscles depend on. Iron is crucial, not just for oxygen transport in the blood, but for mitochondrial health in the muscles themselves. When iron is low, energy production stalls, muscles fatigue faster, recovery slows. Lentils provide plant-based iron, which becomes even more effective when consumed with a source of vitamin C. Think of squeezing lemon juice on a warm lentil salad: simple, yet clinically effective. They're also high in folate, magnesium, potassium, and zinc, all essential for cellular repair, fluid balance, and muscle contraction. Magnesium, in particular, is a nutrient many seniors are deficient in, and it plays a key role in preventing muscle cramps, supporting nerve function, and improving sleep quality, which, in turn, supports recovery. And let's not forget fiber. Lentils are one of the highest fiber foods on the planet. This is especially important for seniors because fiber supports the gut microbiome, and the microbiome has a direct effect on inflammation, nutrient absorption, and even mental clarity. A healthy gut equals better digestion of nutrients, more stable energy levels, and less systemic inflammation, creating a perfect environment for muscle preservation. What makes lentils uniquely powerful in the senior diet is that they don't come with the baggage that some animal proteins do. Many seniors are told to increase their protein intake, and often the default is red meat. But red meat, particularly in excess, comes with potential downsides: saturated fats, inflammatory compounds, and a higher risk for metabolic issues when consumed regularly without balance. Lentils, on the other hand, are anti-inflammatory. They help regulate blood sugar, support heart health, and promote metabolic stability, things that become more and more important as we age. And they're incredibly versatile. You don't need to overhaul your entire meal plan. Lentils can be added to soups, stews, salads, or eaten as a hearty side. You can batch cook them at the beginning of the week and have them ready to go. Their low glycemic index helps stabilize blood sugar, preventing energy crashes that so often derail movement and motivation. And for those with joint issues, inflammation, or arthritis, lentils support rather than aggravate, because the same polyphenols that protect the plant protect your body too. There's something powerful about knowing that a food as simple and accessible as lentils can make such a profound impact. Especially when paired with light resistance movement or daily walking, the benefits compound. The muscle tissue begins to respond. The body becomes more efficient, and what felt like inevitable weakness starts to reverse quietly, consistently, and naturally. This is where food stops being just fuel and becomes medicine. For decades, the assumption has been that animal protein is superior for building muscle, especially in older adults. And while animal sources like meat and dairy do contain complete proteins, there's a broader conversation that often gets missed, particularly when we start to look at how the aging body processes food. Not all proteins are created equal in how they interact with inflammation, digestion, and long-term health. When we compare something like a steak to a bowl of lentils, most people immediately assume the meat wins. But in many cases, especially in seniors, lentils actually outperform. One of the key issues with aging is the body's increasing sensitivity to inflammation. As we grow older, our internal environment becomes more reactive. The same foods that might have been tolerated well at 30 can start causing low-grade inflammation at 65 or 70. Red meat, for example, has been shown to elevate certain inflammatory markers in the blood, particularly when consumed frequently or in processed forms. Over time, this low-level inflammation interferes with muscle repair, disrupts insulin sensitivity, and contributes to diseases like arthritis, cardiovascular conditions, and even neurodegeneration. Lentils, on the other hand, are naturally anti-inflammatory. They contain compounds like flavonoids and polyphenols that actively reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. That matters because inflammation isn't just about pain or discomfort. It directly affects muscle recovery and growth. A body that's inflamed is constantly in a catabolic state. It breaks tissue down faster than it can rebuild. So even if you're getting enough protein from meat, the inflammatory state it induces may cancel out the benefits you're trying to gain. Lentils support the opposite, an environment where healing, repair, and muscle growth can actually take place. Another crucial consideration is digestion. As we age, our stomach acid levels decline, enzyme production slows down, and the gut microbiome becomes less diverse. This means heavy proteins like red meat can be harder to break down and absorb. Seniors often experience bloating, sluggish digestion, or even nutrient malabsorption from eating meals they used to tolerate just fine. Over time, this leads to fatigue, irregular elimination, and decreased appetite, making it even harder to meet nutritional needs. Lentils, in contrast, are easy on the digestive system when prepared properly. They're soft, fiber-rich, and full of prebiotics that feed beneficial gut bacteria. These bacteria play an essential role in helping the body extract nutrients from food, synthesize certain vitamins, and keep inflammation in check. A healthier gut means better absorption of the nutrients that build and maintain muscle, including protein, iron, magnesium, and B vitamins. Seniors who shift toward plant-based proteins often notice not just better digestion, but more stable energy and improved mental clarity, both of which directly influence motivation and physical performance. And when we zoom out to the big picture, lentils support systems that meet often challenges. Cardiovascular health is a prime example. Aging increases the risk of high blood pressure, arterial stiffness, and cholesterol buildup. Meat, especially fatty cuts and processed forms, can elevate LDL cholesterol and promote arterial plaque. Lentils, on the other hand, contain soluble fiber, which helps bind excess cholesterol and remove it from the body. They also provide potassium and magnesium minerals that relax blood vessels and support heart rhythm. But none of this means that people need to abandon all animal products entirely. It's about balance and understanding the effects of what we eat on the aging body. What lentils offer is a foundational food that does more than provide calories or protein. They actively work with your biology to reduce the barriers to muscle maintenance. They help create an internal environment that supports healing, hormonal balance, and metabolic resilience. That's what sets them apart. Another overlooked advantage of lentils is consistency. Because they're affordable, shelf-stable, and easy to cook in large batches, seniors can keep them as a reliable staple without having to constantly buy fresh meat or worry about spoilage. This matters when we talk about long-term dietary changes. It's not just about what works today. It's about what can work every day, sustainably, and without unnecessary stress. When you compare all of these factors, anti-inflammatory properties, digestibility, cardiovascular benefits, nutrient density, and accessibility, it becomes clear that lentils aren't just a substitute for meat. They're often a smarter choice, especially for people in their 60s, 70s, or older, who are trying to regain or preserve muscle. We're not just feeding the body, we're supporting it, protecting it, and giving it the tools it needs to stay strong, mobile, and independent. And that's the real goal. There's something incredibly powerful that happens when we combine traditional wisdom with modern science. For centuries, lentils have been a staple in many cultures, used not just for sustenance, but for healing, recovery, and strength. What's fascinating now is that science is finally catching up to what these cultures instinctively knew. Recent studies are confirming what we've seen observationally for decades. Lentils don't just support overall health. They have a direct, measurable impact on muscle preservation, especially in aging populations. One of the most compelling things about lentils is their ability to stimulate muscle protein synthesis through a pathway known as mTOR. This pathway is central to how the body grows and repairs muscle. It acts like a switch that turns on muscle, building machinery at the cellular level. In younger individuals, this switch is easy to activate. Almost any kind of protein, paired with physical movement, triggers it. But in seniors, that switch becomes more resistant, what we call anabolic resistance. You need more of a specific stimulus to get the same effect. That's where lentils come in. Even though they're plant-based, lentils are rich in leucine, the amino acid most responsible for activating the mTOR pathway. This is crucial because muscle growth isn't just about quantity of protein, it's about quality and timing. When older adults consume lentils regularly, especially around periods of activity, they can stimulate this pathway effectively. And that's not just theory, it's been demonstrated in human studies. A 2022 clinical trial published in a peer-reviewed nutrition journal showed that seniors who consumed a legume-rich diet, especially lentils, had significantly greater muscle retention over a 12-week period compared to those eating a standard Western diet, even when total calories were equal. The difference wasn't subtle, it was statistically and clinically significant, but lentils offer more than just a leucine hit. They also contain antioxidant compounds that protect muscle cells from damage. As we age, oxidative stress becomes a bigger threat. The mitochondria, the energy producing centers of our cells, become less efficient and more prone to releasing free radicals. These free radicals can damage muscle fibers, slow down recovery, and contribute to fatigue. The polyphenols and flavonoids in lentils act like shields, neutralizing these harmful molecules and preserving the integrity of muscle cells. In fact, some of the same antioxidants found in lentils have been studied for their ability to delay age-related muscle degradation at the cellular level, including reductions in markers of mitochondrial dysfunction and inflammation. What's also remarkable is how lentils support the immune system in a way that indirectly benefits muscle preservation. In aging, the immune system enters a state of chronic low-grade activation. This is one of the drivers of muscle loss. When the body is constantly responding to internal threats, real or perceived, it diverts energy away from repair and regeneration. Lentils help calm this process. Their soluble fiber nourishes gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. These are compounds that help regulate immune responses and reduce systemic inflammation. When the immune system is more balanced, the body can prioritize recovery, tissue repair, and muscle regeneration. It creates the conditions necessary for growth, even at 70 or 75 years old, and the benefits don't stop there. Several observational studies across longevity populations, places where people live not just longer but better, have found higher legume consumption to be one of the strongest predictors of muscular independence in old age. People in these communities eat lentils regularly. They don't just live longer, they stay active, mobile, and strong deep into their 80s and 90s. And it's not because they're taking supplements or following high-tech regimens. It's because they've built their meals around nutrient-dense, muscle-supportive foods like lentils that align with how the human body functions at every stage of life. There's also a metabolic angle that's worth mentioning. Muscle is one of the most metabolically active tissues in the body. The more you have, the more calories you burn at rest, and the better your body handles glucose and insulin. Lentils help here too. They improve insulin sensitivity, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce the risk of metabolic disorders that so often accelerate muscle wasting. When blood sugar is erratic, it leads to glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins and damage tissues, including muscle. Lentils prevent that from happening by slowing digestion and promoting more even energy release. So even though the focus is muscle, the benefits ripple out in every direction. The takeaway is clear. Lentils aren't just a protein source, they're a system support tool. They work at the hormonal level, at the cellular level, and even at the genetic level to protect and rebuild muscle. And when the science backs what tradition has practiced for generations, that's when you know you're onto something real. Knowing that lentils have the power to reverse muscle loss is one thing. But the real transformation happens when you understand how to use them strategically, how to prepare them, combine them, and time them in a way that allows your body to take full advantage of their regenerative potential, because it's not just about eating lentils, it's about eating them in a way that supports aging biology and primes your muscles for growth and repair. Start with preparation. Lentils are already one of the most digestible legumes, but for aging digestive systems, soaking them for a few hours or even overnight before cooking can make them even easier to break down. Soaking helps neutralize antinutrients like phytic acid, which can otherwise interfere with the absorption of minerals such as iron and zinc, both of which are essential for muscle repair. It also reduces compounds that sometimes cause bloating or gas, which can be a barrier for seniors who are sensitive to legumes. Once they are soaked and rinsed, cooking them slowly with anti-inflammatory ingredients like turmeric, garlic, or bay leaves not only boosts the flavor but adds compounds that further support immunity and muscle health. Now let's talk about nutrient synergy. Lentils are rich in iron, but plant-based iron called non-heme iron isn't absorbed as efficiently as the iron found in meat. That's where vitamin C becomes a game changer. When you pair lentils with foods rich in vitamin C, like lemon juice, tomatoes, bell peppers, or even a side of citrus fruit, you dramatically improve your body's ability to absorb that iron. Iron, as we've already discussed, is critical for mitochondrial function, which supports energy production in muscle cells. So if your body can't absorb enough iron, you won't have the energy or oxygen delivery needed for muscle recovery. Something as simple as squeezing fresh lemon on your lentils can make a measurable difference in how well your body utilizes those nutrients. But even more important than how you prepare and combine lentils is when you eat them. Timing matters. One of the best windows to consume a high-protein, nutrient-dense meal is right after physical activity. That could be a walk, a short resistance session, or even just time spent gardening or doing household chores that involve movement. After exercise, the body is in a state of heightened receptivity. Muscle cells are primed to absorb amino acids and begin the repair process. This is the perfect time to give the body the raw materials it needs. A post-walk lentil soup, a warm lentil and quinoa bowl, or even lentil stew with fresh greens can accelerate recovery and help you build back stronger. Another effective strategy is evening consumption. At night, your body enters a naturally restorative state. Growth hormone release peaks during deep sleep, and that's when much of your tissue regeneration takes place, including muscle repair. When you eat a slowed, digesting, protein-rich meal like lentils at dinner, you provide a steady stream of amino acids and minerals during this critical window. Unlike fast-burning carbs or high-sugar snacks, lentils release energy slowly, keeping your blood sugar stable and allowing your body to focus on recovery rather than battling spikes and crashes. For seniors who often struggle with poor sleep or nighttime hunger, a warm bowl of lentils in the evening can improve not just sleep quality, but also next-day energy and strength. It's also important to think about consistency. Muscle doesn't grow from a single meal. It builds slowly through repeated signals. If you're consuming lentils once or twice a week, you're giving your body an occasional boost. But when you make them a near-daily habit, especially in small, manageable portions, you're reinforcing the message to your body: maintain muscle, stay strong, stay resilient. That consistency is where the shift happens. It's not about perfection, it's about repeated nourishment that aligns with your biology. And for those worried about variety or flavor fatigue, there are dozens of ways to make lentils enjoyable. Indian dal with ginger and cumin, Mediterranean-style lentil salad with olives and herbs, North African spiced lentils with cinnamon and sweet potato. These aren't just delicious, they're layered with compounds that support joint health, metabolic health, and cellular regeneration. Adding color, spice, and texture not only makes the meals more appealing, but increases the diversity of nutrients feeding your system. The final piece is movement. Lentils work best when paired with physical activity. That doesn't mean intense workouts or lifting heavy weights. It means moving your body in a way that sends a signal. We still need this muscle. Even walking for 20 minutes, doing bodyweight exercises, or light resistance band training tells the body to retain strength. When lentils follow that movement, the protein and minerals you consume go directly to the places that need repair. It's a 1-2 punch. Activity activates the muscle, lentils nourish the rebuild. When you combine intentional preparation, smart pairings, ideal timing, and consistent movement, lentils become more than food. They become a signal to your body that it's not done growing, not done getting stronger, not done reclaiming vitality. One of the most powerful things we can draw from science isn't just data, it's real human transformation. It's one thing to understand the mechanisms of how muscle is lost or how foods like lentils support cellular repair. But the moment it becomes real is when you see it play out in someone's life. When someone in their 70s or even older makes small, consistent changes and ends up stronger, more mobile, and more alive than they've felt in decades. That's when you realize that the body, even in later years, is never truly finished healing. It just needs the right inputs. I've seen this happen in seniors who were once barely able to walk a few hundred steps a day. They felt tired all the time, stiff in the morning, unsteady on their feet. Most of them assumed this was just part of aging, that losing muscle, losing energy, losing independence was just the way life worked after 70. But the truth is, many of them weren't broken. They were simply undernourished and understimulated. Their diets were missing the specific components needed to maintain strength, and more importantly, no one had shown them that they could still grow, still build. One story stands out. A man in his mid-70s had spent the last few years gradually becoming more sedentary. His balance was off, his knees ached, and walking from room to room left him winded. He wasn't ill in the traditional sense. There was no diagnosis, just a slow, invisible slide into weakness. When we introduced a simple routine, daily walking, light resistance exercises, and 2 lentil-based meals per day, something shifted. Not overnight, not in a week, but within 2 months he was standing up more easily, walking with better posture, and had enough energy in the afternoon to do things he hadn't done in years, like gardening or taking short trips to the market. What happened wasn't magic, it was biology responding to support. His muscles began to reactivate. The amino acids from lentils were being absorbed and utilized. Inflammation was dropping. His gut microbiome was improving, his sleep deepened, and his confidence grew alongside his strength. That's what we often forget. Confidence grows when you can trust your body again. When you know your legs will hold you, your grip is firm, your back is stable. There was also a woman in her early 80s who had been dealing with recurring falls and feared living alone. She was scared of losing her independence. We adjusted her meals to include lentils almost daily, lentil stews with greens and sweet potato, lentil patties with lemon and herbs, and a warm lentil soup at night. Along with 10 minutes of light movement after meals and some basic flexibility work, her balance improved dramatically. But what changed even more was her mindset. She no longer saw herself as someone in decline. She began seeing herself as someone who was rebuilding. And once that switch flips mentally, the body follows. These are just 2 examples, but they represent something bigger. This idea that strength is not just for the young. That the capacity to rebuild is hardwired into us, even at 75, even at 80. We just need to stop working against the body and start working with it. We need to feed it what it's designed to respond to, and lentils, in this context, are more than nutrition, They are information. They are a signal to the muscles, the immune system, the mitochondria. You are still needed. Keep growing. There are regions in the world where people live well into their 90s with high quality of life, and lentils are a dietary staple in many of these places. They're not eating them because they read a study or followed a trend. They're eating them because tradition kept what science is now confirming. Their lives, their strength, their resilience, it's being shaped by these small, consistent inputs. That's the formula: a few key foods, regular movement, deep sleep, low stress. The body doesn't ask for much. It just asks for consistency. When we look at people who have reversed muscle loss, who have gone from weakness to strength late in life, there's a pattern. It's not about heroic effort or perfect routines. It's about trusting that with the right inputs, your biology will take care of the rest. Every meal, every step, every moment of rest contributes to that rebuild. And what these real-life stories prove again and again is that it's never too late. The muscle is still listening, it's still waiting, and it's absolutely still capable of growing.